And now to Sierra Leone. A runoff election between the opposition SLPP's retired Brigadier Julius and Dr. Samura Kamara of the ruling APC party will hold on the 27th of this month, according to the country's National Electoral Commission. This follows the outcome of the first round of the presidential election, where none of the 16 presidential candidates that took part garnered the required 55% votes plus one vote threshold to be declared the outright winner.
Vous avez raison, Jerry, mais je précise que...
I would like to point out that the candidate for the main opposition party, Julius, has slightly outpaced that of the ruling party, Samura Kamara. The former general candidate of the SLPP obtained 43.3% of the votes, according to the complete results published in the evening by the NEC. The APC candidate, former Foreign Minister Samura Kamara, who received 42.7% of the vote, was beaten by nearly 15,000 votes. Moreover, this presidential election was marked by a novelty, great accessibility for disabled voters. Michael Odor tells us more.
The March 7 general election in Sierra Leone has seen several changes in terms of performance and speed of work. The National Election Commission put in place sporadic changes that made the disadvantaged vote faster and even got assistance. People with disability were being given special priority whenever they arrive at any polling station.
Well, we made a provision for them to cast their votes because they are also eligible to vote as citizens of this country. So what we did, first of all, we create a new queue for them. They are not part of others that are physically strong, so we create a new queue for them, like the disabled, the physically challenged, the blinds, and also the lactating mother.
The electoral body designated a few staff in each polling station who picked them up and helped them through the voting process. There were special designated places that could also be used by some of them.
As you can see, we take them from the lines, we carry them to the front. Pregnant women, they are also a priority. Aged people, they are also top priority. Lactating mothers, suckling mothers, they are top priorities. So these are the categories of people who we pluck from the line and carry them to the top so that they don't stay long in the queues to vote.
Well, they are giving presents to the elderly. We have no problem with that. If you come, they will call you, interview and ask you if you have your identity card, if you show them your identity card. Of course, they will do everything for you.
There was a provision of a seat in some booths. This allowed them to take a rest even as the voting process continued. Those in consideration include anyone with disability, expected women, the aged, lactating mothers, and even those who could not read and write.
With us now from Freetown is our correspondent, Eric Kawa. Good morning, Eric. It's good to have you with us on the program this morning. Eric, from what you've seen on ground, how would you describe these elections so far?
Okay, Sierra Leone's second multi-tier elections ended in a very competitive way, with 16 candidates contesting for the ever-coveted presidential seat. And out of those 16 candidates were 2 female presidential candidates who also played a significant role in the whole process. So we saw security personnel who were deployed in various parts of the country to ensure that they monitor the whole process. However, we also saw that there were fierce skirmishes between the police and some citizens, including some party agents. And one of the instances is the SOS Summer Minor School, which is one of the polling stations where we saw some party agents allegedly noted that they were excluded from the counting process. And many of the candidates had to campaign on different platforms and agendas, and in the manifesto we saw most of them talking about education and talking about inclusion, bringing together women into the whole race and the rest of it. For the National Grand Coalition, they had to base their own whole campaign and manifesto on change. Many argue that in fact that is the reason why we have another rerun, because of the intervention of the National Grand Coalition, which took the third part in the whole polls. And we also saw the social media users largely involved in rumor spreading and fake news. In fact, something interesting, before even the National Electoral Commissioner had announced the official results, we saw the social media had already drafted a result to say that this is the result.
Indeed, interesting. Eric, the opposition candidate Julius Bio reacted to the first round of results as if he already won, saying that elections are over. But his main challenger has asked supporters to be vigilant. How far have they both come in the race to replace President Bai Koroma, Eric?
Okay, well, the race, we saw a very tough competition between the ruling All People's Congress Party and as well as the Sierra Leone People's Party that are being led by retired Brigadier Julius Bio and Dr. Samura Kamara. Further in the race, we also saw the National Gun Coalition that I mentioned earlier, their candidates, Julius and the Coalition for Change of former sacked Vice President Samuel Samsumana. They also made a huge impact they took the third and the fourth positions respectively. So the National Electoral Commission actually released the result in 25%, and which they did 4 times, 25 to 50, 75 and 100. The commission received some complaints as well from malpractices from different political parties, and they stated in a press release that they recounted 154 polling stations. According to law, a presidential candidate needs to obtain 55% to win outright. Julius Bio of the Sierra Leone People's Party won in the first round with 43.3%, and APC Samura Kamara with 42.7%, meaning no candidate reached the threshold of 55%, pardon.
It is a matter of days to the runoff, which we expect on the 27th of March. What becomes of the other strong contenders who ran in the first round, Eric?
The 27th of March 2018 is the day that has been declared by the National Electoral Commissioner for the runoff election because nobody reached the 55%. And we cannot actually speculate right now as to who will be winning the elections because the competition is now tougher than the one before. We see both parties, and we see again the issue of tribalism and regionalism also playing in this aspect of this whole stuff. But again, questions remain. The big people now in this runoff will have to be with the National Gun Coalition and the Coalition for Change, who took the third and the fourth positions respectively. Both of those candidates are offsprings of the two main parties, Dr. Yumkela from the Sierra Leone People's Party and Chief Samsumana from the ruling All People's Congress Party. The question now is who will they render their support to, or which candidate or party will they support?